Cherry Stripe Commentary. This is one of your hosts for tonight, Sean. I'm joined by Trey. How are you doing, Trey?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm not feeling disrespected by the NBA and their TV schedule for the Raptors because I don't. I'm not too sure the Raptors are going to be really that good this year. I feel like a lot of the newer fans expect greatness from the Raptors, and I was there at the beginning. I was there for some dark days.
Honestly, I haven't looked to see what teams get how many primetime games. I've been more looking at who's coming to Charlotte win type situations.
Nice,
So
nice.
I take it some of Raptors Nation is feeling a bit disrespected from us down here in America.
Well, I don't know. They got the least amount of national games in the NBA, so take
The
that with
least?
the
Wow.
least. Yeah. So, but you know, I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I think it was the right move by the NBA. I don't think they're going to be one of the teams that everybody's going to be paying attention to. Um, right now, everybody's paying attention to the FIBA World Games or World Cup exhibition games that the Team USA are playing. Um, it's quite a roster. It's not like the superstars that you usually see, but they play the international game well. Who have you enjoyed watching, Trey?
Well, I think everyone has enjoyed watching Antman kind of elevate his game, and everyone was kind of banking on him coming in and taking this opportunity to jump up the next level. And it's just nice to see it coming through. Whether it is the awesome like dunks he has during the games, which we've got a video of here, I'm going to play real quick.
10-0 run.
Awesome.
Yeah, 1-2-2. Nice mix. Oh my goodness. Edwards! Get out the laminator.
Man, he's so good. But whether it's that or like hearing him challenge Triple J to play defense in practice, coming out of the draft, the doubts were whether or not he loved basketball because he some of his quotes, but his competitive nature has shown through, and it just continues to shine through here.
Absolutely. He made the right career choice by going with basketball over football. Um, he'd be a wide receiver, probably, maybe a defensive back. I don't know what position he played, but it wouldn't be as going as well, I think, as it is in the NBA. He's played very well on Minnesota. I think Minnesota should really look at trading Cat and getting him out of there and making Ant-Man. This is Ant-Man's team. Rudy Gobert is the center that does all the good stuff and gets the lobs occasionally. But that's a topic for another day. I think Ant-Man's showing
No,
everybody
we're
that
going.
right
No,
now.
we're gonna pause and we're gonna hit that because it's not like there's a lot else going on. Why does Cat need to be traded for this to be Ant's team? I think it's Ant's team no matter if Cat's on it or not.
It's fine. I think it's Ant's team as well. I just think Cat is a bit more of a distraction than anything else.
Now is this about on the court or is this about how ridiculous he's been this offseason and
It's
some
both,
other things?
to be quite honest. It's like Ant-Man's one of those quiet leaders, like shows it on the court. That's where we leave it. We don't talk about it after the game, but also we we don't disappear in big games. Um, it, and honestly, Cat thinks he's a number one. He'd be a great number two. He just can't do it in Minnesota because he was already a number one there. You can't demote somebody who's still in their 20s to a number
I
two
don't know,
after they were
man.
number one.
If if anyone's delusional enough to be able to convince themselves they're a number one while really being a number two, I think it's Cat after we've seen how the tour he's went on this post or this off season. If he can just spot up and shoot threes, because we didn't get to see the Twin Towers very much last year. So you sound out on it. I want to see more of it because I think Ant is just that good. I think he's going to be able to elevate them even more. And if Cat is half as good of a shooter as he thinks he is, he should be able to really find a groove in this offense, even with Ant being the primary ball handler. I think the real challenge is going to be Rudy, and just where does he fit with Ant being able to attack like this?
He's an
'Cause
opposite
I
side
don't know
rebounder.
how well Ant's going to be able to throw a lob.
Well, honestly, he's got to be an opposite side rebounder and be there for any dump offs in case there's a double team on Antman, and he can just go under and just dump it off to Rudy. They're just going to have to play around with where Rudy is. You're exactly right with Cat. If he just pops out in the 3 area and they spread that offense out as much as they can and just put Rudy on the opposite side of Antman, I think you've got a pretty good offense there. I'm just not too sure if Karl Anthony Towns is gonna let that happen. I don't know. He just hasn't shown it lately.
I mean, I think if I'm right, they'll be successful next season. I think if you're right, they won't be successful to start the season, and then Cat probably will be elsewhere come trade deadline time. Like, I think they'll keep him to at least around the trade deadline time, but I think if it's not going well, then I think he is the scapegoat in this situation.
No, you're exactly right. That's the best way to put it. Is if they're doing terrible, Cat's out. If they're doing great, Cat's in. That's about it. TLDR, I guess the kids say.
So, I mean, one way for them to be doing well would be if they were to find a way to get into the play-in tournament, even just like the round of 8, where it's the single elimination tournament, like NCAA March Madness style. If they could find a way to get into that. So that leads me to what we wanted to talk about next, the group draws. And you're a soccer fan, you're Canadian, you're foreign. So you're familiar with these things. What is the group of death that we're looking for?
The group of death is one of those groups like in soccer with FIFA and the World Cup. They have 4 teams in there, and it's basically like 3 of the 4 teams are like top 10 teams or top 15 teams type deal, where it's only 2 of them are going to make it out, and one of the teams not making it out, there might be a riot in that country.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, sir, that by that definition, I think every single group in the West is a group of death. You've got the Grizzlies and Suns in one group. You've got the Nuggets and Clippers in one group, and Pelicans. And then in one group, you have the Kings, Warriors, and then that's the group the Timberwolves are in. I think that's the weakest of the 3, probably. Maybe. I don't know, with the Clippers and their health situation and Morant being out early on. So maybe A isn't as strong as I thought, but all of those teams all of those groups seem to be have duos that are pretty top heavy.
Absolutely. I think you're right. Hit the nail on the coffin. All of them are really good. I think the East is a little more one-sided, but in the West, it's Group A because you got the Lakers. They're gonna, LeBron James will probably want to win that, and then he can say he won the first ever play-in tournament to make up for anything else. You have the Suns, you have the Grizzlies. I think Utah's going to go for it. Utah might have a team that could play really well in this, and basically
Right before they shut people Portland.
Down. Why? Why would you shut people down in November? It's like December.
Well, that's what I said before. This is before they would do that. I think you're right with LeBron. So I think, honestly, thinking about that, if I told you could have LeBron or the field on who's going to play the highest percentage of playing games, I think I might take LeBron. I think he's going to play in literally every single playing game, and he might not play in any other games that month, but he's going to hit every single one of those.
No,
and he's gonna use the excuse as these are important, these matter, and that's the company line that they want. And he's also going to be able to go hard for this, which is what I want to see these guys do, because that's what makes it important. Because if people see LeBron going this hard for it, like, don't you think Durant would love to take that away from him?
Absolutely. It takes one A rising tide lifts all boats, and you just need one of them to really go hard. And Durant would do that. Um, that's such a hard group with Memphis because they'll be going for it as well, trying to get one under their belt. Um, on the East, it's Group A again, to be honest, because you've got the Sixers, the Cavs, the Hawks, the Pacers, and Detroit Pistons. And the only weak link I see there is Detroit. The rest of the teams are definitely going to be going for it, and it's going to be a hard fought battle.
I mean, Kay Cunningham was a poor man's Lucas, so much so that Kerr was raving about him. So I don't know that the Pistons are going to be nearly as weak of a link as you think, sir.
No, and I look forward to that being not the case in your favor. I would love to see Detroit playing well, but that's why I have them as the strongest division. The weakest is where my team is. Boston got a lucky draw here. They got potentially four teams that won't make the playoffs.
You think we're the weakest?
Yeah.
I guess the Knicks and Heat are pretty good, but I think the bottom two, the Wizards Hornets combo in Group B, really I think those two are worse than any team in Group C.
Yeah, they do bring down Group B a lot, but you have the reigning Eastern Conference champions, the Milwaukee Bucks, who are the number 1 seed that they beat, and the Knicks, who did pretty well in the playoffs. So it's a pretty good top 3 there.
It does have a good case for group of death, but 76ers and Cavs, I think that is a really strong. I don't know. 76ers, Cavs, Hawks, or Bucks, Knicks, Heat. I think Group B might be the group of death.
But then you got to look at the last two.
I'm not worried about the last two. I'm worried about so the way that it's structured, one from each group moves on, but then there's also one wild card, and that can be from any of the groups. So a group of death in this for me would maybe be a group that has 3 teams, because the maximum that can move on from a group is 2. So like Group B, you have 3 teams that realistically think they should be advancing to the single elimination tournament. So for me, I think that's what makes this one the group of death for me, because you have 3 teams that expect to make it. I don't know that the Hawks expect to make it as much as they would really, really like to make it.
No, that's an excellent point. When you take it at that analogy, where only one can make it through and potentially a second would be the hard group, then yeah, it's absolutely Group B in the East. It's Group A in the West and Group B in the East. Those are the toughest groups to try and get through. And looking at it, I think East B has an easier path with the bottom 2 versus
they can beat up on them
West
and get
A.
some W's.
Yeah. I think Utah might play spoilers.
I like that. I kind of like my Bulls' chances. I think they're gonna come out strong. They're gonna come out trying to show the league that's just been shitting on them all off season, and they've played the Celtics good the last couple years. I like my team's chances, and I'm going to be watching these games and having an extra eye on them, simply because I want to be able to get to the single elimination tournament, because I love March Madness, and I love the idea of March Madness with better teams.
No, it's a great point. I too am looking forward to watching our group play. I think the Raptors, they do have a shot, but it's pretty much Boston's to lose, if I'm being quite frank about it. But I think, if the Nets were
if you get hot, you can easily beat the other 3 teams. Like not just once, but like go on runs against them. Whereas I think the other groups, you can get the wins against Wizards and Hornets, but the other 2 teams in your group, it's going to be hard to beat them. Whereas the Raptors, the Celtics, but heck, all you have to do is catch the Celtics on a rough night, and you can steal one against them. I know the Bulls have done it.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's perfect. I look forward to it. I like the single elimination. I love this whole setup. It's actually my favorite part of the season, I'd say, if I was going to be honest. It's usually the playoffs and the regular season, I'll take it or leave it. I'll check in here and there. But this is going to keep me interested in the middle of the season.
I'm also very excited for this. I don't know if it's the thing I'm most excited for. I'd have to wait and see what the playoffs. The playoffs are going to be what I'm most excited for because I love the long 7-game series, watching the adjustments. But I also love March Madness, and this gives me just a little bit of it, along with, like you said, making the regular season games a little bit more interesting. And that's really all. That's the only excuse I need as a basketball fan to pay attention to a game because, yeah, it's a slog. There are tons of games in the regular season, and it's hard to get up for games when you don't have any reason to. But if I have just a little excuse, a little reason to, I can make that into a big reason. And so if I have to elevate this in my head for a few years before everyone else catches up, then so be it. But I think it's going to be really successful. And I think as the years go on and there are memorable moments that happen during the tournament and during the group play, I think that's going to be what makes it important.
No, absolutely. And as a basketball watching fan, I look at it as December is going to be awesome. You have this and you have the college tournaments, like their mini tournaments. Then directly after that into the new year, you have March Madness. And then right after that, you have the NBA playoffs with a little bit of gaps in between all of those. So I think you just got an extra dose of pretty good basketball dolloped onto your year. And now we just got to do something about the summer.
The NBA, I think this is a really good job at, like you said, keeping it interesting throughout the year. And whether it's college or the pros, there is always something going on. There's always something different, something special to be paying attention to. Because the general public, if it's not like we know, if it's just the regular season, we're more likely to watch something else that night. We're not as likely to pay attention unless the game or unless whatever it is has some stakes. So giving things stakes is the way to go. And I think Silver did a really good job in implementing this and having those games being, I think it's the Tuesdays and Fridays in November.
Like Tuesdays and Fridays, yeah.
Yeah, and I think having them on the same nights every night that month, I think that's a really, really smart move. And it's gonna that rhythm and routine will help people watch the games and care about them because, like, I don't know about you, but I love wrestling and Monday Night Raw. Like, it was a tradition. Every Monday night, you sit down in front of the TV and you watch Monday Night Raw. And now it's Thursday nights on TNT. You sit down and you watch the games. Well, now for me, it's going to be sitting down and watching the playing games.
Yeah, absolutely. And they get eyes in every region, every market for every team because they're all playing on the same day, basically. So you've got 16 games each night, or is it 8 and 8?
I'm not sure, honestly. I don't have it up in front of me.
In that case, you get a lot of eyes on the game, so you have a lot of people plus the nationally televised games. So I think it's going to be an excellent job for the NBA because, like you said with the wrestling analogy, you had that specific night that you were set up to go home and watch the wrestling match.
The wrestling match, yes.
Wow, I know. I heard myself say that. Wow, that was wow. I can't believe I said that.
The nerd in me is wondering, like, I'm going to assume it's going to be a success. And so let's say in America, the audience rises 5% compared to the regular season average. Do you think it's going to rise a higher percentage in different countries that are used to this group play concept, and so they understand why these games mean more than, say, the average American fan because the American fan hasn't been exposed to it? Like, do you think maybe Europe and Canada, they might be up 10% instead of 5% because the NBA fans there already know, hey, I have to pay attention to these games because we're getting ready for the tournament and I want to see who's in the tournament?
No, that's an excellent point. I'd love to look into that because I can definitely see that happening in Europe with them gaining extra fans because now the guy who loves basketball in the group tells the other guys who've been like pushing off. It's like, no, man, they got this group play. Like, the FA Cup. It's like that, but for their basketball, they've got the groups. They got this whole thing. We're gonna go to the pub on Tuesdays and Fridays. We're gonna watch the games. Boom.
So is the FA Cup a real thing, or is that like a made up thing from your F1 series?
No, that's it. FA Cup is in the Premier League.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, now we have the NBA Cup, so I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the group play, but I'm even more excited for the tournament. And I want them to expand it a little bit longer, so the winning team or even the losing team in the championship game, but the teams in the title game, they get a full week in Vegas to just rest, recharge, and play a few basketball games. I think that's a really nice reward for winning, your group stage and getting through the tournament.
I love that idea. That's amazing.
I think it's already 4 to 5 days, I think, right now, where they're in Vegas. But if you expand it out one more, like have one more round in Vegas and just have them there like that 7 days, they could fly in, and the teams that go to the championship game, they would end up being there for 7 days. So that's a full week in Vegas, just resting. You can get maybe a light practice in or two. Coaches love to get some practice in, but they never have the time. So that, there's a chance for a light walkthrough. But having that week in one place, I think that's a real advantage.
Absolutely. You can say they're on residence, or I think is the term they use in Vegas for all the singers and everything. So you can just put them out, maybe have them run some 5-on-5s for the for the fans and everything like that. They don't have to play games if you can get a game or two in there. I don't know how about scheduling. That's what I was trying to think about. Could you throw some of your division games in as floaters that you can give away? I don't know. Or some of your other games. But yeah, no, that's absolutely great. That's a great idea. Just set that week off afterwards and they get to stay there.
Oh, I don't mean like the week after. I mean like the week of the tournament. Like the tournament's in Vegas, so they get to be there for the tournament.
Okay, yeah. No, that's a good idea.
So they don't get like a whole extra week of vacation, Sean. Man, that would be a scheduling nightmare. Why would you wish that on these people? But no, so what I mean is they would get to fly in, say on Sunday, play a game on Monday, play a game on Wednesday, play a game on Friday, and then, or maybe play a game on Saturday, and then fly out again Saturday night, Sunday morning, but then get to be in Vegas all those days.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea to put it all.
It's like an extended. It's like an extended homestand, but instead of that, you get to be in Vegas. That's a win.
That is.
All right, you got anything else?
No, that was all I had. That was everything that we had. So thank you so much, Trey, for coming out. It was great talking to you. You're very high on the Bulls. We'll have to get into that later on in this year, and we'll have to dissect. They start strong last year too.
They didn't start nearly as strong last year as they did the year before.
Oh yeah, the year before that was really good. But they'll be back eventually. They'll be back. There's only so long they could be bad. I don't know how anybody would go 50, 60 plus years without any success.
I hope here in 10 years I'm not like a King situation. Let's hope not.
No, that'd be awful. That'd be really awful to be. Just talk to a Leafs fan if you ever get really depressed and down in the dumps and you want to pick me up.
I don't know what that means.
It's an NHL reference. The Toronto Maple Leafs, they haven't won anything since 1967.
Well, I knew it was the Leafs, but I didn't know like the depths of their despair.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough. But thank you so much, Trey, for coming out. Check yourself out on Threads at Final Finally. Is that correct?
Yes, and also there is the Lost Tapes edition of Charity Stripe commentary. It's on YouTube. It's last week's episode. If you want to hear what me and Sean talked about last week, you have to go find it on YouTube because I was lazy and I did not upload it onto Spotify. And too much time had passed by the time I had finally remembered to do it. So that's the Lost Tapes edition. If you're listening to this on Spotify now, there is one that you don't have. It's on YouTube, so go and find it.
Yeah, so check out the Charity Stripe Commentary YouTube channel. We've got the links in the description here. Leave a nice review, 5 stars. And do we see those on Spotify, Trey?
I don't know if we see the reviews. I know they have the where you can comment on the episode. So if you're listening to this, leave a comment on it, and we'll see if me and Sean can figure out how to find it. Is the real thing.
And then once we find it, we'll talk about it.
Oh, 100%. Any reviews we find, whether it's on Apple, Spotify, on the episodes themselves, we will definitely bring up and ramble on about for 5 minutes at least.
I really look forward to those. Please send those in. Thank you, Trey, for talking to this old man and getting me through this technology wave that we are going through. Everybody, have a good night. Thank you very much.